Hey everyone, Dreckie here, and today I've got a graphics tablet from XP Pen, the Star G960S.
So what exactly is a graphics tablet? This specific type of tablet essentially tries to mimic the feel of pen on paper, whether that's for handwriting, drawing, or just computer input in general. With something like this, you get pen pressure, making more natural looking line art and more accuracy when editing images in general. So this sort of thing comes in handy for me when making those clickbait thumbnails you'll see, as well as for the little bit of digital art that I do. What's included in the box? The tablet itself, a basic pen, a USB Type-C cable, and an OTG adapter for Android. There's also some extra pen tips in case you go through those. The build quality of this tablet, it's pretty standard across the board. There are a few nice touches that make for an overall well-rounded experience. It's plastic and there's a textured pen surface. The buttons are a shiny plastic that will pick up fingerprints, and the USB-C cable goes into the side here. Looking at the USB-C port itself, it's very recessed and the cable locks into place. I really like this touch. It's one of those thoughtful things I mentioned. With the port recessed like this, strain is taken off of the port itself and put onto the cable, which should reduce the chance of breakage. The downside is, if you want to replace this USB-C cable with something longer, you may have trouble finding one that fits. The pen itself, it's quite a simple thing, more akin to a ballpoint pen in terms of feel, and it is very lightweight. This is likely due to the lack of battery or needing to recharge the pen. That lack of battery instantly puts this tablet ahead of every other tablet I own, which uses an obscure quadruple A battery or some silly proprietary charging port. However, I do prefer a bit of a larger pen with more well-defined buttons. Sometimes this pen's button can be a bit hard to find, especially if you have a habit like me of spinning with your pen or fiddling with it while you're drawing. I also wish it had an eraser like my older Wacom does, but yeah, in fact, just looking at the G960S Plus, which is the same tablet as this, it looks like it does include a bigger pen with an eraser feature. So if you want that, it's just an extra $10. So in terms of setup, it's pretty straightforward. Make sure to install the driver. I'm testing on Windows, and there were a few little quirks here. For example, at first I thought the tablet was defective because my computer wouldn't recognize it. Turns out that my Xbox controller interferes with the graphics tablet. Who would have thought? So I can really only have one or the other plugged in. Oh my goodness, so it's not just the pen tablet that stopped working with both of them plugged in, it's also my phone is not detected by the computer anymore. So obviously there's some sort of bug where the pen tablet is interfering with anything else that's plugged in by USB. Secondly, in this tablet software, you'll notice a little toggle at the bottom left that says Windows Ink. This is probably the single most important toggle that the software has, as it completely changes how this tablet interacts with the operating system. With Windows Ink enabled, the tablet acts more like a finger touch, for example, scrolling pages in Firefox. It does need to be enabled in order to use pen pressure in Photoshop. Disable Windows Ink and the tablet acts more like a mouse cursor, so you can highlight text and even sign things in some other applications that don't use Windows Ink. Thankfully, this can be toggled on the fly and it does not require resetting Photoshop or other apps to enable or disable. Now let's talk about how this tablet feels when drawing. For the context of what I'm about to say, I'm coming into this review off of using a 2-in-1 laptop as my primary pen tablet for over 2 years. At the time I purchased that laptop, I noticed the pen input was closer to good enough instead of great. So transitioning back to a dedicated drawing tablet like this, now that I have a desktop again, it has been an unbelievable difference in terms of feel. Mind you, I do miss drawing directly onto the screen, and if you really do want to go all in, XP Pen has a dedicated tablet display that allegedly has the same performance as this tablet. But it's like, wow, now I can actually draw straight lines without jaggies. The lines start and end on the screen where I want them to. The line thickness versus amount of pressure feels consistent across the screen. With the XP Pen tablet, it's far easier to get consistent and clean results than it is on my laptop's display. In fact, if I'm working at home, editing photos, sketching, trying to draft up ideas for videos, I've transitioned almost entirely to using this drawing tablet instead of my laptop, saving the laptop for when I'm on the go or if I need the 4K resolution specifically for something there. The feel itself is pretty similar to a pen on a fairly rough piece of paper, and I expect the pen surface will scuff after some time. Texture is actually pretty pleasant compared to a pen on glass feel of the laptop. There's virtually no jitter, wobbly lines, nor any strange artifacting. Even the pressure curve feels natural, and there is fine-tuning available in the app if you need it. Even maybe 5 to 10 years ago, an experience like this could only have been gotten with a high-end Wacom tablet. The difference is also fairly dramatic then compared to the previous generation 1024 or 2048 level tablets. This one is like 8192 levels, so yeah, it's a significantly higher specification. But even that specification of levels doesn't tell the entire story because there's a higher refresh rate and things just feel so much smoother and more fluid than the previous generation did. In the past, I've used a Huion H610. I can say that the tablets feel largely similar when it comes to actual input, which is a given seeing their specifications are nearly identical. The difference comes down to a preference in button placement and pen feel. I prefer the button layout and pen on the Huion because it reminds me more of my first tablet, a Wacom Intuos Pro. But the XP Pen scores more points because of its USB-C port, especially that it's recessed. The overall design aesthetic I think is a bit more modern on the XP Pen. Huion, for some reason, is still using mini USB, which is like 2004. Since they're largely the similar price, preference should go towards whichever tablet has the features you need. Also, as another interesting feature, this tablet can be used with an Android mobile device. There are some limitations, however, depending on the brand. For example, if you have a Samsung phone that is not a Note, you're not going to see a hovering cursor when you hover the pen, which renders this thing all but useless. My testing, I still do get pen pressure however, so I'm sure on another Android device it would work better. So overall, what do I think of the XP Pen Star G960S tablet? Well, I might as well bin my last generation Gaomon tablet because this thing is better. Not gonna bin my laptop because that's a laptop, so it's still useful, and the drawing feel, pressure consistency, and fluidity of the lines are on another level compared to tablets from 5 to 10 years ago. This is a kind of space that hasn't seen a lot of innovation over the last several years, with the exception of maybe the iPad Pro or the Galaxy Note introducing this kind of technology to a more mainstream audience. It's nice to see that some of these less mainstream brands are catching up to the quality of Wacom, and perhaps they'll present some competition and push this technology a little bit further in the future. Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I appreciate your support.